Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive. Usually we take our time really unpacking all those details from our sources, but this time we're doing something a little different.
Yeah, we thought we'd shake things up a bit.
Right.
So we're going to try a fast-paced trivia challenge all about the Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb.
Like a history sprint, 25 questions to get you up to speed on one of the, well, let's just say one of the most impactful Mughal emperors ever.
Impactful is a good word.
Yeah.
Definitely impactful. So this is like your express ticket to understanding the key points of his reign, like the major events, policies, controversies, the whole deal.
Exactly. Think of it as essential Aurangzeb knowledge, all packed into a fun quiz. So here's the plan. I'm going to throw out a question, give you 3 possible answers, and then our expert here is going to step in with some really cool historical background and context.
To help you see the bigger picture.
Right. Then I'll reveal the correct answer. We're aiming for both speed and depth here, folks. You ready to dive in?
Let's do it.
Okay, question number 1. What was Aurangzeb's regnal title? Was it A, Shahanshah-e-Hind, B, Alamgir I, or C, Sultan of Deccan?
All right, so we're starting right off with titles. When Aurangzeb came to power, he chose Alamgir I as his regnal title. And Alamgir, translates to something like world Caesar or even sometimes conqueror of the world. This wasn't just, a fancy name. It actually spoke volumes about his ambitions. He really wanted to expand the Mughal territory, to make his power felt all over the subcontinent. This ambition, it really shaped his entire reign. We'll see it play out again and again.
So the answer is B, Alamgir I.
World Caesar. Quite a title, right?
Absolutely. Okay, question 2. When did Aurangzeb actually take the throne? Was it A, 1658, B, 1666, or C, 1670?
Okay, so for this one, we got to jump back to 1657. Shah Jahan, Aurangzeb's father, falls ill, and it sets off this, a pretty intense succession struggle among his sons.
Yeah, a family affair.
Right. And Aurangzeb, he ends up battling it out with his brothers, most notably Dara Shikoh, who was actually the favorite to win. But Aurangzeb, he emerges victorious in 1658. This victory, it's a major turning point in Mughal history. Not always for the best, some pretty brutal events along the way, but it firmly establishes Aurangzeb as the emperor.
The correct answer is A, 1658.
Huh.
Okay, on to question 3. Who was Aurangzeb's father? A, Akbar, B, Jahangir, or C, Shah Jahan?
All right, we're talking Mughal dynasty here, and the answer is C, Shah Jahan. And if that name rings a bell, it's probably because Shah Jahan's reign is synonymous with incredible Mughal architecture. I mean, we're talking the Taj Mahal, guys. So understanding this lineage, it helps us grasp the kind of legacy Aurangzeb was stepping into. An empire known for its beauty, its cultural achievements, but even though Aurangzeb was Shah Jahan's son, he would eventually choose a different path for himself, focus on different things.
Yeah, you're right about that. So yeah, the answer is C, Shah Jahan. Let's move on to question 4. Which battle really solidified Aurangzeb's claim to the throne? Was it A, the Battle of Darmat, B, the Battle of Samagar, or C, the Battle of Panipat?
This one goes back to that War of Succession we were talking about. The Battle of Samagar, which happened in 1658, was absolutely crucial. This is where Aurangzeb goes head-to-head with his older brother, Dara Shikoh, and defeats him decisively. This wasn't just any victory. It's the one that really cemented Aurangzeb's hold on power, showed everyone his military strength, and, his unwavering determination to rule.
The answer is B, the Battle of Samagar. All right, next up, question 5. Where was Aurangzeb actually born? A, Agra, Uttar Pradesh, B, Dahod, Gujarat, or C, Lahore, Punjab?
Let's put Aurangzeb on the map, shall we? He was born in Dahod, Gujarat. Now, here's a fun fact. Early on in his career, Aurangzeb was actually the Viceroy of the Deccan, and he also governed Gujarat. He was getting a real taste for leadership and, navigating the complexities of different regions. All of this experience really shaped his political skills and, probably prepared him for the challenges of ruling a vast empire.
Absolutely. So the answer is B, Dahod, Gujarat. Moving on to question 6. Which Mughal province did Aurangzeb govern between 1645 and 1647? Was it A, Bengal, B, Gujarat, or C, Deccan?
Okay, so we're focusing on those early years before Aurangzeb becomes emperor. We know he held some pretty important positions, and you're right, it was Gujarat. He governed that province from 1645 to 1647. But there's more to the story. He also governed Multan, Balkh, and Sindh at different points. All of these experiences, they were like stepping stones. They were giving him firsthand knowledge of managing diverse territories, dealing with different populations, and honestly, learning how to be a leader. It was a crash course in rulership, really.
It sounds like it. The correct answer is B, Gujarat. Okay, question 7. We're switching gears a bit here. What architectural marvel did Aurangzeb build in Lahore? A. Jama Masjid, B. Badshahi Mosque, or C. Fatehpur Sikri Palace?
Architecture. Aurangzeb might not be as famous for his buildings as, say, Shah Jahan, but he did leave his mark. The Badshahi Mosque in Lahore, that's his masterpiece. For centuries, it was actually one of the largest mosques in the world. Now, its style is a little different from earlier Mughal architecture. There's a certain simplicity to it, a bit less ornate than, say, the Taj Mahal. And some historians think this reflects Aurangzeb's own religious devotion, a preference for a more austere approach.
Interesting. So the answer is B. Badshahi Mosque. All right, moving on to question 8, and this is a significant one. Which Sikh guru did Aurangzeb execute? A. Guru Gobind Singh, B. Guru Tegh Bahadur, or C. Guru Arjan Dev?
Yeah, this is a really important and often debated event in Mughal history. In 1675, Aurangzeb ordered the execution of Guru Tegh Bahadur. This action had a profound impact on the relationship between the Mughal Empire and the Sikh community, a relationship that was already, quite complex. This event really created a lasting sense of animosity and, frankly, fueled tensions that would continue for years to come.
It definitely did. The answer is B. Guru Tegh Bahadur. Okay, on to question 9. What was the name of that Islamic legal text compiled under Aurangzeb's rule? A. Aini Akbari, B. Fatwa Alamgiri, or C. Tuzuki Jahangiri?
We're talking about the Fatwa Alamgiri, a massive project, really. Basically, it was a compilation of Islamic legal rulings and opinions, mainly from the Hanafi school of thought. And this was a personal initiative of Aurangzeb's. He really wanted to create this authoritative legal guide for the Mughal Empire, one that was, grounded in Islamic principles. It took years to compile, involved tons of scholars, and it really demonstrates how deeply Aurangzeb wanted to shape the empire's legal system, to align it with his own religious beliefs.
Fascinating. So the answer is B. Fatwa Alamgiri. Okay, let's move on to question 10. Which Maratha leader did Aurangzeb capture and execute in 1689? A. Shivaji, B. Sambhaji, or C. Rajaram?
All right, now we're shifting our focus back to the Deccan, to the heart of the Maratha resistance. After the death of the legendary Shivaji, his son Sambhaji took up the mantle of leadership, continuing to defy Mughal authority. And Aurangzeb, he managed to capture and execute Sambhaji in 1689. A major victory for the Mughals, no doubt, but it didn't crush the Maratha spirit. Their resistance, it continued under Sambhaji's successor, Rajaram.
A testament to their resilience. The correct answer is B. Sambhaji. Okay, on to question 11. What tax did Aurangzeb reimpose on non-Muslims during his reign? A. Zakat, B. Jizya, or C. Khums?
This is a big one. It's the jizya. This was a tax specifically imposed on non-Muslim subjects, and it was a controversial move because Akbar, remember him, Ahmed's grandfather, he had abolished the jizya earlier. So bringing back, it was a major policy reversal. It signaled a departure from the religious tolerance that Akbar had promoted, and honestly, it caused a lot of resentment among non-Muslims in the empire. It was a decision with far-reaching consequences.
The answer is B. Jizya. Okay, moving right along. Question 12. How long was Aurangzeb's reign? A. 40 years, B. 49 years, or C. 51 years?
We're talking almost half a century here. Aurangzeb ruled for a very long time, 49 years to be precise. That makes his reign one of the longest among all the Mughal emperors. And during those 49 years, the Mughal Empire went through some dramatic changes. Expansion, conflict, internal struggles, you name it.
49 years is a long time to be at the helm of an empire. The correct answer is B. 49 years. Question 13. Which important Mughal port city did the Marathas sack, not once but twice, during Aurangzeb's rule? Was it A. Surat, B. Goa, or C. Calicut?
Yeah, this is a story about the Marathas really flexing their muscles, showing their strength. We're talking about Surat, a bustling port city vital to Mughal trade. And the Marathas, they managed to sack it twice under Aurangzeb's watch. That was a big deal. It demonstrated that even with all his power, even with his vast army, Aurangzeb couldn't fully control every corner of his empire. The Marathas, they were a force to be reckoned with.
They were. The answer is A. Surat. Okay, on to question 14. Where is Aurangzeb actually buried? A. Agra Fort, Uttar Pradesh, B. Tomb of Akbar, Sikandra, or C. Kuldabad, Maharashtra?
This one is kind of interesting because it reveals something about Aurangzeb's personality, his beliefs. Unlike some of his predecessors who built these grand, elaborate tombs for themselves, Aurangzeb chose a simpler route. He's buried in Kuldabad, Maharashtra, near Aurangabad. It's a relatively modest tomb, reflecting his own desire for a humble burial. Quite a contrast to, the opulence often associated with Mughal emperors.
It is. The answer is C. Kuldabad, Maharashtra. Okay, question 15. What dynasty did Aurangzeb belong to? A, the Timurid dynasty, B, the Khalji dynasty, or C, the Tughlaq dynasty?
We're going way back in history now, tracing the roots of the Mughals. Aurangzeb, like all the Mughal emperors before him, was a descendant of Timur, also known as Tamerlane. That means he belonged to the Timurid dynasty. This lineage, it wasn't just a family tree, it was a source of immense pride and legitimacy for the Mughals. They saw themselves as heirs to Timur's vast empire, and they used that heritage to justify their own ambitions in India.
The answer is A, the Timurid dynasty. Okay, question 16. What big policy shift did Aurangzeb make after 1680? Was it A, a shift towards religious conservatism and excluding Hindus from public office, B, expansion into Central Asia, or C, an alliance with the Marathas?
So 1680, this is a kind of crucial turning point in Aurangzeb's reign. He starts to move towards a more conservative interpretation of Islam, and this had a huge impact on his policies. He reimposed the jizya, which we've already talked about, and there's this ongoing debate among historians about whether he started to exclude Hindus from high-ranking government positions. Now, the extent of this exclusion is still debated, but the shift towards a more religiously focused approach to governance, that's pretty clear. And it had a lasting impact on the empire's social and political landscape.
Right. So the answer is A, a shift towards religious conservatism. Moving on to question 17. Which Mughal province was plagued by, really bogged down by, constant warfare during Aurangzeb's rule? Was it A, Bengal, B, Deccan, or C, Punjab?
We've got to hand it to the Deccan. This region saw relentless warfare throughout Aurangzeb's time on the throne. He was determined to expand Mughal control there, so he launched these massive campaigns against the Marathas, fought against the Deccan Sultanates, and it was just constant conflict for decades. This, of course, drained the empire's resources, both in terms of money and manpower. It was a huge undertaking.
The answer is B, Deccan. Question 18. What was the primary focus of all those military campaigns Aurangzeb launched? Was he A, trying to conquer Persia, B, expanding into southern India, or C, defending the empire against European powers?
While Aurangzeb did make some moves on the northwestern frontier, his main objective was definitely the south. He was obsessed with expanding Mughal control in southern India, annexing those Deccan Sultanates, bringing them under his rule, and of course trying to subdue the ever-resistant Marathas. It was all part of his grand vision to establish Mughal dominance across the entire subcontinent.
The answer is expansion into southern India. Okay, question 19. Which Hindu ruler did Aurangzeb summon, to Agra in 1666, supposedly to try and make peace? Was it A, Shivaji, B, Maharana Pratap, or C, Raja Jai Singh II?
We're talking about Shivaji, the legendary Maratha leader. In 1666, Aurangzeb summoned him to Agra, hoping to, at least reduce the tension between them. But it backfired spectacularly. Shivaji felt deeply insulted by the way he was treated, and he ended up, escaping from Agra, which is a pretty daring feat in itself. This event really cemented the adversarial relationship between them, and it just fueled the conflict that would define their legacies.
What a story. The answer is A, Shivaji. Question 20. How many square miles did the Mughal Empire cover at its peak under Aurangzeb's rule? Was it A, 2 million square miles, B, 3.2 million square miles, or C, 4 million square miles?
We're talking about a vast empire here, guys. Under Aurangzeb, the Mughal Empire reached its largest geographical extent ever, encompassing a whopping 3.2 million square miles. This was the culmination of centuries of Mughal expansion, stretching from the Himalayas down to the Deccan Plateau, a truly massive domain and a testament to Aurangzeb's ambitions, although, as we've discussed, this expansion came at a steep price.
The answer is B, 3.2 million square miles. All right, question 21. What was the state of the Mughal economy during Aurangzeb's time? Was it A, the largest economy in the world, B, declining because of all the wars, or C, roughly equal to the Qing dynasty in China in terms of wealth?
Okay, so this one's interesting. Despite those never-ending wars, those campaigns that drained the treasury, the Mughal Empire under Aurangzeb, it was still considered the largest economy in the world at that time. Imagine that. But there's a but here. All those conflicts, all that military spending, it did take a toll. The empire was starting to show signs of financial strain, setting the stage for economic problems later down the line. It's kind of like a warning sign, a glimpse of future challenges.
The answer is A, the largest economy in the world. All right, on to question 22. How did Aurangzeb approach music and cultural practices at court? Did he A, ban music and dancing, B, actually promote Persian music, or C, establish music schools?
Okay, so remember how we talked about Aurangzeb's shift towards religious conservatism? Well, this played out in the cultural sphere, too. As part of his reforms, he banned music and dancing at the Mughal court. A pretty big change from the more, let's say, culturally vibrant courts of his predecessors. This move reflected his strict interpretation of Islamic principles, and it had a noticeable impact on court life, shifting the focus away from entertainment and towards, well, piety and religious observance.
The answer is A, he banned music and dancing. Question 23. Which independent Muslim kingdoms did Aurangzeb annex, meaning absorb into the Mughal Empire in the Deccan region? Was it A, Bijapur and Golconda, B, Malwa and Gujarat, or C, Golconda and Bengal?
This was part of Aurangzeb's southern strategy, his push to consolidate Mughal control in the Deccan. We're talking about Bijapur and Golconda. These were powerful, independent Muslim sultanates, and Aurangzeb, well, he managed to conquer both of them. Bijapur fell in 1686, and Golconda followed in 1687. These were major military achievements, no doubt, but they also represented the culmination of years of warfare, and of course they came at a high cost in terms of resources and lives.
Big victories, but with lasting consequences. The answer is A, Bijapur and Golconda. Okay, 2 questions left. Question 24. What was the root cause of all those conflicts between Aurangzeb and the Marathas? Was it A, Mughal expansionism, B, religious differences, or C, trade disputes?
So while religion definitely played a role in the overall tension between them, the real driving force behind the Mughal-Maratha conflict was land, territory. The Marathas, led by figures like Shivaji, they weren't just resisting Mughal rule, they were actively trying to carve out their own independent kingdom, their own sphere of influence. And this directly clashed with Aurangzeb's ambition to expand the Mughal Empire. It was a battle for control of the Deccan, a clash of two powerful forces with very different visions for the future.
The answer is A, territorial expansion. And finally, question 25, the last one. What was a major consequence of all of Aurangzeb's policies, all the things he did during his reign? Did they lead to A, a stronger Mughal empire, B, the rise of regional powers and the weakening of central Mughal authority, or C, a unified India under Mughal rule?
Well, here's the irony. Despite all of Aurangzeb's efforts, his policies, particularly those endless wars and his, let's say, controversial religious policies, they actually ended up having the opposite effect of what he probably intended. Instead of a stronger, more unified empire, what we see after his death is the rise of powerful regional forces like the Marathas, the Rajputs, and the Sikhs. These groups, they challenged Mughal authority, and this fragmentation, this weakening of central control, it would eventually lead to the decline of the once mighty Mughal Empire. It's a classic example of unintended consequences, where actions aimed at consolidating power can sometimes have the opposite effect.
Right. A cautionary tale for any ruler, really. The answer is B, the rise of regional powers and the decline of central authority. So there you have it, folks, our whirlwind tour of Aurangzeb's reign through 25 trivia questions.
Hopefully you feel like you got a taste of his era. Aurangzeb, he's a complex figure, There's no easy way to sum him up.
He is, and his legacy is still debated today. I mean, he achieved incredible territorial expansion, but at what cost? His religious policies alienated many, the constant warfare drained the empire's resources, and his reign ultimately set the stage for the Mughal decline.
It makes you think, If an empire that vast, with all that power, could be weakened by internal divisions and overreach, what lessons can we learn from that today?
That's a question worth pondering. And if you're as intrigued by Aurangzeb as we are, well, we encourage you to check out the sources we used for this episode. There's a lot more to discover.
Always more to learn.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, everyone.
See you next time.
See you next time.